make one sister betray another in the worst way possible. Because when the streets started whispering that Tamar Braxton had crossed a line no family could ever recover from, fans didn't know what to believe. They said she went behind Toni Braxton's back. Not just to compete, not just to prove a point, but to do something that shattered every rule of sisterhood. And when Towanda opened her mouth on national TV and dropped that accusation, the internet exploded. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know, was this just another Braxton family fight gone too far? Or had Tamar really done the unthinkable? Because the moment that secret hit the air, it wasn't just gossip anymore. It was war inside one of music's most famous families. And trust me, the story behind it is even messier than you think. Before that accusation ever hit the air, the Braxtons were already a ticking time bomb. From the outside, they looked like one of R&B's strongest sister acts. Talented, glamorous, tight-knit. But behind the scenes, jealousy, money fights, and years of quiet resentment were tearing them apart. Anyone who's watched Braxton Family Values knows the love is real, but so are the grudges. Tamar, the outspoken baby of the family, was never afraid to say what everyone else was thinking. Toni, the superstar, carried the family name on her back. But that spotlight also cast long shadows. And somewhere in between stood Towanda, tired of being underestimated, tired of being treated like the side character in her own family story. Their on-camera arguments didn't just stay on screen. They leaked into interviews, social media, even family dinners. Every new episode brought a fresh wound, and every wound left another scar. So when Towanda and Tamar faced off again, most fans thought it was just another sister spat. But this time felt different, because instead of yelling about money or fame, Towanda reached for something nuclear. A secret that could never be unsaid. And that's when the Braxton bond finally cracked. But what exactly did Towanda reveal? And why did it leave the whole family reeling? You're about to find out. It started like any other Braxton blow-up, raised voices, old wounds, and a whole lot of you always and you never. But then, mid-argument, Towanda Braxton said something that froze everyone in the room. You steal? You don't? You stole men. The words hit like a bomb. In that instant, the energy shifted. Tamar's eyes went wide, her voice broke. And before anyone could process what just happened, the internet was already on fire. Clips from the fight spread across social media faster than wildfire. Fans replayed the moment, dissecting every look, every pause, every word. Did she really say Tamar slept with Toni Braxton's man? Tamar snapped back immediately, calling her sister a liar, slamming her hands on the table, swearing up and down that it was all false. But once a claim like that is out there, you can't just take it back. And it wasn't just about the accusation, it was about who it came from. Towanda wasn't some random person on the internet. She was Tamar's own sister, the same woman who'd grown up with her, shared stages, and defended her in interviews. So when she said it, people believed there had to be something behind it. And for Toni, the one caught in the middle, it was a betrayal from both sides. Because hearing strangers gossip about your relationship is one thing, but hearing your own blood accuse your sister of being the reason your marriage fell apart, that's a different kind of pain. And from that moment, there was no going back. But here's the thing. This fight wasn't just about jealousy or betrayal. It was about years of resentment finally boiling over. And the secrets didn't stop there. Every Braxton argument seems to circle back to one thing: money. And this time, Tamar came armed with receipts. She didn't waste a second before throwing her own accusations back at Towanda, claiming that while Towanda was pointing fingers, she'd been quietly dipping into Tamar's pockets for years. Tamar said she was the one who helped Towanda buy her house, even putting down the $35,000 payment herself. But according to her, that generosity turned into betrayal when Towanda allegedly began using her credit cards without permission. Fans who remembered the sisters' history weren't surprised. Towanda's name had already come up before. Stories of her borrowing from family members, even rumors of her taking money from their mother's checks. It painted a messy picture. One sister giving, another taking, and a lot of unspoken resentment sitting in between. And here's what made it sting even more. Tamar wasn't just accusing her sister of stealing. She was exposing a pattern. She called Towanda sneaky, clever, and crafty, saying she'd mastered the art of playing innocent while doing dirt behind everyone's back. The tension at that table wasn't just about one argument. It was years of built-up frustration finally snapping. You could see it in their faces. Tamar, shaking with anger. Towanda, calm but dangerous, waiting for her moment to strike back. And when she did, she didn't deny a thing. Instead, she changed the subject and hit Tamar where it hurt most. Because if Tamar wanted to talk about stealing, Towanda had a theft of her own to expose. Only this time, it wasn't about money. It was about men. The room went silent. Towanda leaned forward, calm but deadly, and dropped a line that made everyone's jaw hit the floor. "You don't steal? You stole men." That was it, the moment that changed everything. For a second, Tamar froze, as if her brain couldn't even process what she'd just heard. Then she exploded, shouting, denying, calling Towanda a liar, knocking things over in rage. But by then, it was too late. The damage was done. Because Towanda didn't say it in a whisper. She said it loud, on camera, for the whole world to hear. And when a sister says something like that, especially in public, people listen. Now, here's where things got even messier. Towanda didn't just accuse Tamar of sleeping with one of Toni's men. She claimed it happened multiple times. That one line sent shockwaves across social media. Every gossip page, every blog, every fan group, all of them started digging. The name of the man Towanda mentioned was bleeped out on air for legal reasons, but fans weren't about to let it go. Within hours, theories started flying. Who was she talking about? At first, most fingers pointed at Birdman, Toni's longtime love and current husband. Why? Because fans remembered something, that strange moment during Birdman's versus battle, when Toni wasn't there but Tamar was, standing right behind him, laughing, smiling, wiping the sweat off his forehead like she was his wife. People called it weird. Some said it looked too friendly, too comfortable. Tamar brushed it off, saying she was just there to support her sister and even posted a video of her and Birdman on FaceTime with Toni to prove everything was cool. But the internet wasn't buying it. Because when something looks off, especially in a family as public as the Braxtons, fans don't forget. And as rumors swirled, another name suddenly reappeared, one from the past that made the story even more shocking. Because what if the man Towanda was talking about wasn't Birdman at all, but someone much closer to Toni's heart? Once the clip dropped, the internet did what it always does best: investigate. Comment sections turned into detective boards. Reddit threads blew up overnight. Everyone wanted to know who Towanda was talking about when she accused Tamar of sleeping with one of Toni's men. And it didn't take long before the name Carrie Lewis started resurfacing. Toni Braxton's ex-husband and former member of the R&B group Mint Condition. Fans dug up an old 2011 blog post that claimed Tamar and Carrie allegedly had a secret fling after Toni and Carrie split. The blog's tone was brutal, saying Tamar was desperate to climb the fame ladder and that getting close to Carrie was her way in. At the time, people brushed it off as baseless gossip. But after Towanda's recent outburst, those old rumors suddenly didn't sound so far-fetched. Then came the connections. Fans noticed how Tamar had been seen at events Carrie attended, and how their timelines seemed to overlap just enough to raise eyebrows. The theory picked up speed. Was this the real man Towanda was talking about all along? And that wasn't the only thing fueling the fire. People started remembering Tamar's history with controversy. She had already faced backlash in the past for allegedly being involved with Michael Malden, Jermaine Dupri's father, a married man at the time. So when the accusations about Toni's ex resurfaced, fans didn't see it as impossible, they saw it as on brand. For years, people have said that the Braxton sisters' biggest enemy wasn't fame or money, it was each other. And if you've followed their story long enough, you know that jealousy has always been the quiet storm in the room. Let's be real, Toni Braxton has always been the star. She was the first to make it big, the one whose voice defined the family's sound, the one who put the Braxton name on the map. And while the world celebrated her, her sisters, especially Tamar, were left standing in the background, waiting for their turn to shine. Tamar had the voice, she had the talent, but she also had something else, a burning need to prove she wasn't just Toni's little sister. Every interview, every album, every reality TV moment showed glimpses of that frustration. She wanted to be seen as her own powerhouse, not a side act. So when rumors started swirling that she'd been with one of Toni's exes, fans couldn't help but wonder, was this about love or was it about power? Some people believe Tamar's alleged fling was her way of reclaiming control, of saying, if I want it, I can have it, even if it's yours. It was never about the man himself. It was about proving that she could match Toni in every way, even in the one area that should have been off limits. And that's what makes this so heartbreaking. Because behind the fame and glam, the Braxton sisters were never just siblings. They were rivals fighting for validation from each other and from the world. To outsiders, it looked like drama for entertainment. But to them, it was years of insecurity, comparison, and unspoken resentment finally boiling over. And when Towanda dropped that accusation, it wasn't just a fight, it was a reflection of everything that had been wrong with their family for decades. But what's worse than betrayal? Knowing your own sisters might have kept the secret, just waiting for the perfect moment to use it against you. When the dust started to settle, fans realized something even darker was hiding beneath the surface. Towanda wasn't the only one who knew. Apparently, other sisters, including Tracy Braxton before her passing, had heard whispers about Tamar's alleged affair. But instead of warning Toni, they kept quiet. They sat on that information, letting it simmer, waiting for the right moment to use it as ammo. And that's what made this whole thing feel so cold. Because silence, in this case, was its own betrayal. How could a family that claimed sisterhood so loudly stay quiet about something this explosive? Towanda's timing said it all. She didn't reveal the secret to protect Toni. She revealed it to hurt Tamar. And that alone told fans everything they needed to know about where the Braxton bond really stood. The sisters weren't protecting each other. They were collecting secrets, saving them for the next round of emotional warfare. Each one knew something that could destroy another. And when the time came, they never hesitated to pull the trigger. It wasn't sisterhood anymore. It was survival. Fans online started saying what many had already suspected. The Braxtons don't even like each other, because at this point, how could they? Towanda had turned Tamar's alleged scandal into a weapon. Tamar had accused her sister of stealing. And Toni, caught in the crossfire, had to face the possibility that both sides might be telling the truth. Behind the fame, behind the cameras, the Braxton sisters looked less like family and more like strangers trapped in the same last name. But even after the accusations and denials, one truth remained. This family was on the edge of falling apart completely, and what came next might have pushed them over. By the time the clip finished circling online, it wasn't just a scandal. It was the final fracture in a family that had already been cracking for years. The Braxtons had built their legacy on talent, charm, and the idea that blood was thicker than fame. But after this, fans couldn't unsee the damage. Every past argument suddenly made sense. The side-eyes during interviews, the awkward pauses on Braxton family values, the way they could be laughing one minute and tearing each other down the next. It wasn't just TV drama, it was real. And the saddest part? They had everything they needed to stay on top. The show, the music, the loyal fan base, it was all there. But instead of coming together, they turned against each other. Meanwhile, fans started comparing them to the Kardashians, another family who built an empire on drama. The difference? The Kardashians made their mess marketable. The Braxtons made theirs personal. While the Kardashians turned every scandal into a storyline, the Braxtons turned every argument into a wound, one that never healed. And this latest scandal felt like the final cut. Even longtime supporters began to say what nobody wanted to admit. The Braxtons might never bounce back. Because after a betrayal like this, after years of resentment, jealousy, and silence, there's no easy way to rebuild. Insiders say the only reason they still speak at all is because of Miss Evelyn, their mother. She's the glue holding the family together, even when the pieces barely fit anymore. But people are already asking the hard question. When she's gone, will they even have a reason to stay in touch? And that's the heartbreak of it all. A family that once sang about love and unity has turned into a living cautionary tale. Proof that sometimes fame doesn't destroy you. You destroy yourself. But before you pick a side, there's one last thing to think about. Because whether Tamar really did it or not, the truth might be even uglier than anyone expected. So after all the chaos, the accusations, and the years of bad blood, we're left with one question that refuses to die. Did Tamar Braxton really sleep with Toni Braxton's husband? Towanda swears she did. Tamar swears she didn't. And Toni? She stayed mostly silent, which, in this family, speaks volumes. Maybe it was all just another low blow in a fight that went too far. Maybe it was revenge for being called a thief. Or maybe there's more truth to Towanda's words than Tamar ever wanted to admit. Either way, the damage is done. Because once the world hears a story like that, once fans start replaying clips and connecting dots, there's no unhearing it. No amount of denial can erase the image that's already been painted, and maybe that's the real tragedy of the Braxton family. Not who slept with who, not who stole what, but how fast love can turn into rivalry when fame, jealousy, and pride take over. At this point, their story feels less like a reality show and more like a warning about what happens when family becomes competition. So maybe Tamar didn't betray her sister in the way Towanda claimed. But if you look at the bigger picture, every single one of them has betrayed someone, through silence, through ego, through secrets they should have never weaponized. Because in the end, it doesn't matter who said what. What matters is what's left behind. And for the Braxtons, that's a legacy that's falling apart in real time. And as the cameras fade and the headlines quiet down, one question still lingers. Was this just another rumor? Or the truth they've been hiding all along? Because if this family's history has taught us anything, the real story is never the one they tell on TV.